Welcome to Democracy-ish. I'm Danielle Moodie.
And I'm Wajahat, and I have health insurance through my wife. I am a poor writer. I want everyone to know that I am a very poor writer. Thank God for health insurance through my wife. Just randomly wanted to say that, Danielle.
And let me say that I don't have a wife anymore, and so my health insurance is paid for out of my own pocket, costing quite the pretty penny every month. I have said many times, Waj, that I believe that the healthcare system in the United States is the Ponzi scheme, and you are paying in to a health insurance company, however many. If you are independent, you're paying this yourself. If you are a company, you are paying to cover your employees with health insurance, however many thousands of dollars a month, only for the health insurance people to turn around, take your money, and then tell you that they're not going to cover you when you're ill. And so that brings us to one of the most interesting, unfortunate, wild stories out of this week. So of the murder of Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare. And folks, what we're showing you right now is his final post on LinkedIn, where it reads, "We work every day to find ways to make #healthcare more affordable, including reducing the cost of life-saving prescription drugs. I'm proud of the work Chief Affordability Officer Matthew Vesladal and his team are doing to reduce costs for members." So this is his last post. Then this is the responses to those posts, and I will read it so that you all can actually see. "You're doing a great job cutting your costs. Not having a single anesthesiologist in network in the entire state of Montana is a great policy to save you money." Number 2, "Hey, Brian, I just spent an hour on the phone battling to get general information for my wife with stage 4 cancer. She's a 45-year-old mother of 4 with an abnormal EGFR gene. I'd love to share my experience with you." And leaves his cell phone number. And then somebody else responds, "This is terrible. They like to see people suffer and not cover their claims, playing Russian roulette." I want to go ahead, Waj, and then let you take it over. And this is just a taste, folks, of some of the reactions that have been coming out since Wednesday, when this murder took place in broad daylight in Midtown Manhattan. I literally passed the hotel yesterday, last night. And I just want to get your reactions, Waj, to the world, to America's reactions to this murder.
This is wild. Look, this is one of those situations where I wrote that if you're a rich CEO or a one percenter, you should probably hire a private military firm. And yes, you're the king, but the king will probably have to sleep with a bulletproof vest and one eye open in a secluded forest area. This is what has happened throughout millennia, Danielle. They've actually studied this, and there's a correlation between an increase in violence and an increase in income inequality, right? As the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. And people think, society will be fine. Like, look, we're not justifying this murder. I think it's horrific. It's a targeted murder. The person sat there, waited for him, had a gun with a silencer, shot him. Also, folks, if you didn't realize, there were on the bullets, right?
Yeah.
They wrote, the male shooter wrote, "Deny, defend, depose" on the bullet casings. And for those who don't know what that means, that is literally what the insurance companies do to reject claims. So all of us, as information is still coming out, my first instinct was most likely this is probably an aggrieved individual whose family member was probably denied. United Healthcare denies more than anyone else. 32% of claims are denied, right? For those who don't know, in America, one of the number one debts that Americans have is healthcare debt. People kill themselves due to healthcare debt. They go to bankruptcy due to healthcare debt. They forego life-saving procedures, follow-ups, doctor's appointments, MRIs. They don't get prescription drugs because they can't afford it in America. the most powerful, rich country on earth, where we somehow find money to fund wars. No matter if we're in a recession, no matter if we're in an economic boon, we will always find money for the military industrial complex and to bomb Black and brown people. Sorry to say, but we always find money. But there are people right now in America who are rationing their insulin. Young people are rationing their insulin because they can't afford it. Okay. So healthcare debt, medical debt in the most powerful, wealthy country in America is a norm. Meanwhile, I went to Norway one time. I was like the darkest thing in Norway. I went to Norway. Danielle, I was talking to my host, and he's like, I had a fantastic education. I'm like, what university did you go to? He goes, I went to this Norwegian university. I'm like, oh, how much did it cost? Because I'm an American. I think like a freak. He goes like, what do you mean? No, it's subsidized, just like our healthcare. By the way, isn't that weird that you guys pay for healthcare? Why are there also so many guns in America? And I'm like, oh yeah, you guys have free healthcare and free subsidized education. And in the United States of America, I have, like I said at the start of the show, I have healthcare thanks to my wife. My wife is a doctor. She works at Georgetown. Before I married to my wife and my family has healthcare thanks to my wife, I was like Danielle, I had to pay out of pocket. I had a heart surgery about 13 years ago. I had a freakish condition, a supraventricular tachycardia, almost died. I had to pay out of pocket for the insurance. If I didn't pay out of pocket for the insurance and I had that freakish accident, how much would it have cost? And also, some of you folks know, my daughter is a stage 4 cancer survivor. It's been 5 years since she had cancer. She had a full liver transplant. Even with insurance, Danielle, for some of her medication and for some of her follow-ups, if any of you are cancer survivors, we get massive bills. We just got one yesterday. Can you imagine? I did the math, Danielle. If my wife did not have insurance and my family did not have insurance during my daughter's cancer, it would have personally set me back at least $200,000 in that 1 year. And I was sitting there thinking, how will I actually get the money? And the only way I was able to pay off everything and not go into debt, even with insurance, was, wait for it, want to take a guess?
Your book?
GoFundMe.
I was like, was it the book? I was like, that's what I said.
And the CNN thing, the CNN, I got CNN right when she got cancer. It was like a gift from God, plus GoFundMe, plus my wife's insurance. Only way we stayed out of debt. Sorry for my rant. I just wanted to
I mean,
personal.
But that, like, your experience, and thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I just, we're all, I will speak for everybody in saying that we're grateful that it turned out well for you and your family. But the reality is that it could have easily not.
Nope.
And the fact that Americans rely on a GoFundMe, even though you are paying for health insurance, is extraordinarily wild. And so, like, for me, for a long time, for a little over a year, I didn't have health insurance. And I didn't tell anybody. So like, this is, I didn't tell anybody that I didn't have health insurance. I think the only person that knew was my girlfriend. And and another close friend of mine. And he was just like, Danielle, what if something happens to you? He's like, do you want to bankrupt your family? He's like, because that is what's going to happen. If you don't have health insurance, he's like, I understand what you're saying. You're like, you're youngish, you're healthy, and you don't want to be spending $700 a month, right, for health insurance that you're not actually using. And he's like, so I understand it's a racket. It doesn't make any sense. But if you walk out of the door tomorrow and something happened to you, heart attack, stroke, you hit by a car, whatever it is, he's like, you will bankrupt your entire family. And so that was the only reason, Waj, that I got health insurance. It was not
Same here when I was in your situation.
Yeah, it was not because I was like, oh, well, I need to go to the doctor. I was just like, fuck it. I'll go to City MD, right? I'll pay the $100, whatever, whenever I need medication, like blah, blah, blah. I'll just do it. And I'll do it on a per issue basis, right? Is basically what I had decided. But then when my friend was just like, well, if something happens to you, you end up in the hospital, your family is going to be faced with six-figure hospital debt. Is that what you want for them?
And Danielle, I empathize with you because It was same thing with me. I was poor, independent writer. You could read my book. My family was going through trouble. I was like, I'm in my late 20s. I'm youngish. I don't have the money to pay out of pocket for health insurance, right? And then my parents and family members were after me. He said, you have this heart condition. You never know. I'm like, nothing's really happened. I sometimes pass out, whatever. Like, you never know. And so I had to spend out of pocket. And each month when I spent out of pocket, I sat there. I'm like, I don't have the money for this.
Yep.
It's just like a maybe, inshallah, this will
Yep.
help me if something happens. And I just got lucky, Danielle, that this freakish accident happened to me, supraventricular tachycardia. They had to defibrillate me 3 times. I was 31 years old. And because I paid out of pocket, because I had, I was getting free insurance. I was an independent writer. That saved my life. But think about all the people who are struggling to get by. And then this reaction, the reaction.
I just want to put it up again, because these were some of and this is not even the worst. Like, this is not even bad.
This is civil.
But one person says, I'm sorry. Prior authorization is required for thoughts and prayers. Sending prior authorization, denied claims, collections, and prayers to his family. Like, this was just some of the commentary that was going around
everywhere, Danielle.
I saw somebody post that said, not all heroes wear capes, some carry silencers. And I was like, what world are we living in where the reaction to a murder in broad daylight in Midtown Manhattan is like, wry, dark humor, or just like a giant shrug of, I don't care.
No, not just a giant shrug. I'm talking about TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky. I'm talking about people, all ethnicities, all ages, all genders, using their face and their real actual account, openly saying, F this guy.
Yep.
He's a hero. Shooter. I saw one guy say, hey, Shooter, if you need a place to stay, come by. I'll no bills, no money. I got you. I'll take care of you. Other people said, there's other CEOs, and they had a list, right? I mean, people I have never seen. Look, we've been around, Danielle. I got gray hairs. I'm not a young buck. I'm youngish, maybe, but not really. I have never seen this type of visceral, organic, diverse contempt and gallows humor towards a targeted murder before. And then the timing of it. I don't know if there was another big piece of news, if you guys didn't notice.
Oh, the Blue Cross Blue Shield? Please tell, because like I have never seen. Tell them what happened and then the reversal, because my God.
Oh, so Blue Cross decided, it was actually announced a couple of days ago, but then they just decided to post it again across 3 states. Blue Cross decided to announce that they will no longer cover the full anesthesia of surgeries for certain patients because
if they go over time, right? So you're in surgery. They say to Waj, and it's your surgery maybe take 2 to 3 hours. Something happens in surgery, as things do. It takes 5, and they're like, yeah, so we're only going to cover the anesthesia for the 3 hours.
Yeah, no, literally, that was it. Literally. And then the Anesthesiologists Association responded with outrage, saying this is horrific. And as a person who's been through surgery, I had to do an ablation, a minor heart surgery to correct my supraventricular tachycardia. It was supposed to be like a 3-hour surgery. Guess what? Complications. It took like 7 hours. So can you imagine if this was happening? They wake me up midway through and they're like, hey, buddy,
can you sign this? Can you sign this real quick?
Listen, you got a choice. We need to work on you for about 3 more hours. Do you want me to rush it? Do you want me? And I'll just be like, listen, just take a rock and hit me over the head. Give me a concussion and take me out for 6 hours. Or can you imagine? Hey, doc, is this how long is the surgery going to take? It'll take about 6 hours. Watch. Listen. Insurance only covers me for 3. Just skip over a few of
whatever it is that you like. Do you have to wash your hands? Do you have to scrub up? Is that included in the time?
Cliff notes.
Will Robitussin work for this?
Yeah, just put some tussin on it.
Just put some tussin on it. Like,
it's insane.
It's insane. So then after this man is murdered, and again, the timing could not be better. So they announced, Blue Cross Blue Shield announced this, and everyone's response was, read the room. Like, what are you doing? So then yesterday, guess what they did? An Uno reverse and say, just kidding. We're not going to actually do that. We're going to keep it moving the way that it has been working before.
I wonder why. I wonder what changed their mind yesterday. All of a sudden, folks, yesterday they did a 180. What happened, Danielle?
All I will say is that basically, again, the reactions via social media, all on all platforms, basically said, maybe y'all want to read the room. And the fact is that, as somebody said, there are plenty of other CEOs, and maybe this is just the beginning. And that apparently this man, this murderer, has done more for healthcare in 24 hours than politicians have done in 20 years. And that, I mean, that was a response. And I was just like, you know what? You're not wrong. And that is sick. And I feel like, welcome to Black Mirror.
And you know, it's one of those situations. You know, I was talking to my spouse who's a doctor, and listen, I asked my wife, she's a doctor. I said, listen, health insurance confuses me. I'm a simple, unfrozen caveman lawyer. I'm a writer. What am I getting wrong, Sarah? Like, explain this to me. My wife, extremely intelligent, extremely educated, passionate, committed doctor, works at Georgetown. You know what she said? It also confuses me and fellow doctors. When doctors and healthcare professionals say that the system is broken, and my wife, we should invite her one of these days, she says the system is broken. Her brother, cardiologist, says the system is broken. Imagine the rest of us, folks, who need healthcare in the most powerful country on earth, where this type of system is so inefficient, makes no sense. It's for profit. Like, literally, you're working to maybe be one of the lucky ones in the Hunger Games to get insurance through work. And then the insurance you get through work, you're stuck with it. You don't have like a choice, really, right? And then you hope to God that they accept you and, like, you know, don't deny you, right? Like, some of the really dark humor that came out was Brian Thompson's family calls health insurance to see if the ambulance ride to the hospital was covered. I'm like, and then you think about it, you're like, yeah.
And I just, you know, again, United Healthcare, their budget, folks, how much they bring in, $347 billion a year. And they are the largest insurer that denies 32% of those that file claims. So they are literally taking people's money and denying 32% of the claims that come in. So again, are we on here condoning acts of violence and murder? Absolutely not. But the reaction, to me, is the bigger story almost than the actual murder, because the reaction has been absolutely wild, because this is the thing that really does unite Americans. There is no one that does not have a story about horrible healthcare and coverage, or the fact that you are trapped in a 9-to-5 job that you may hate because it's the only way to insure yourself and your family.
That's right.
Right? Because you would think that in a country that loves to say that, oh, we celebrate the people that pulled themselves up from their bootstraps, that you would get some break if you were an entrepreneur, right? Like, here's your tax structure that's different because we want to, like, reward and help those that are independent. You're penalized in the tax care system and in the healthcare system, because the goal is to keep you stuck as a cog in the machine, in the capitalistic machine, and grind you out.
And speaking about the machine, what have Republicans said that they will repeal and destroy? Obamacare, which Trump voters are now realizing. I'm not making this up, folks. We talked about this recently. After the election, F around and find out. Trump voters realized on TikTok that Obamacare is the same thing as ACA. They're like, wait, what? I like ACA. Well, say goodbye to ACA. They also want to go after Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security to fund their tax cuts for the rich. And speaking about the rich, and this is what's going to happen the next 4 years. And the reason why I mention this is because the timing of this is just exquisite. Last night, Donald Trump said that he's going to appoint another billionaire, another South African racist, another PayPal bro, another friend of Musk and Peter Thiel, David Sachs, as the czar of AI and crypto. Bitcoin is having a great moment. Crypto and AI are having a great moment. Billionaires are joining Donald Trump's staff. The richest man on earth, Elon Musk, is now working with Vivek Ramaswamy, another dude who, by the way, profited off of a healthcare scam, folks. Let's not forget. You know what he did, right? That piece of shit, like, medication that was nonsense, but then he put his family members on the board, and all of a sudden good, and then he made profit money off of it. That Vivek Ramaswamy, talk about scams, right? Rick Scott, talk about healthcare scams, right? So here comes the bro oligarchy. They're going to rape and pillage us. They're going to just destroy us. They're going to take all the money out. And these rubes who voted for them are saying, but my eggs, the price of my eggs are going to go down. And we have this, Danielle. And what do you think is going to happen in 4 years? And maybe it's not going to be 4 years, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years. How long do you think it'll take for people to realize that the bro oligarchy is now in control and is pillaging everything? Pensions,
less than a year.
Medicare, Medicaid.
I'll say this: less than a year. Here's what we're gonna have. Within the first 6 months of Donald Trump's regime, I truly believe that we will have ended ACA, gutted Social Security, Medicaid. I think that you will have shut down the EPA, the Department of Education. All of these things will happen within the first year. And so while folks continue to say, oh, look, we have midterms and we'll go get them again, folks, not only are they breaking the rules, not only are they a bunch of criminals, but they are also rewriting the rules. So to think that we are going to somehow magically, after 2 years of literally a crime spree done by billionaires inside of our government, somehow be able to hang on and repair in 2 years, and all of a sudden Democrats who are now saying that they want to work with Elon Musk like Ro Khanna, and they want to and they're looking forward to to this partnership moving forward. What we are setting up here is revolution, right? We said this last week on Democracy-ish. Americans didn't want to pay a 3% tariff on tea, dumped all the tea in the water, and started the American Revolution based on that. Now we're talking about 25% tariffs from 2 countries across the board, gutting social safety nets, and putting billionaire oligarchs in charge of everything, and cutting and raising the cost of everything, and then cutting social safety nets. How long do you think that Americans sustain knowing that, oh, guess what? It isn't the immigrants. It isn't the undocumented.
But Danielle, don't foreign countries pay the tariffs?
Just like they build the walls.
For those who don't know, sorry, we pay the tariffs. Inherently inflationary. The consumers pay the tariffs, which means there'll be a spike in prices. And it was announced 2 days ago that Dollar Tree might raise their prices thanks to these tariffs. So say goodbye to Dollar Tree. It's not going to be $2 Tree.
No. And here's something. And I said this the other day. So one of the things that I like coffee, right? I'm a coffee drinker.
I like coffee.
And the coffee that I like is from Café Du Monde in New Orleans, right?
Oh, you fancy.
Yeah. So I like fancy coffee. And I was saying to my sister the other day, I said, my coffee is expensive, right? My coffee is like, it was $11.99.
Ooh,
and
it's mashallah coffee.
Right. And I said, but it's like, I like it, right? It's just a little perk. It's a little thing that I do. I don't go to Starbucks. I make my coffee at home. It's $11.99. And I said to my sister, watch this coffee go up, because as soon as it goes up in price, I'm not going to get this coffee anymore. I go to the grocery store this week, Waj, and I pick up my coffee, and now the coffee is $13.99.
Wow.
For no reason. $13.99. So what did I do while I was in the grocery store? I go ahead and I look on Amazon, right? The other billionaire who I can't fucking stand. But guess what? There are some things that you can boycott and some things you can't. So I look at Amazon. I put in the coffee name. Let me see how much the coffee is here. How much was the coffee on Amazon, Waj?
$9.99.
$9.87.
Close.
So the coffee is $9.87 on Amazon, right? Because Amazon, we all know what what they all do, right? $9.87 went from $11.99 in my grocery store to $13.99. Folks, pay attention to your prices, right? And yes, Susie, $14. Because now people go and people say, oh my God, that's so expensive. Again, I'm making my coffee at home. I buy this probably once every 3 weeks, right? If you're going to Starbucks, you're paying $5, $6, $7 a day, right? So I was paying $12. I bought it on Amazon for $9.87.
And this is what America wanted, because the price of my eggs. But it wasn't the price of my eggs, because as we know, this Thanksgiving, it was actually cheaper to buy Thanksgiving dinner than it was last year. There was just a job rebound. Right now, we had a headline earlier today, a couple of hours ago. We know that inflation is actually less than before. A major reason why many Trump voters voted for him, and on this show, we actually mention it, even though no one else does, is due to racism and misogyny and bigotry. And it's not due to economic anxiety, it's due to cultural anxiety. In fact, for the past 9 years, study after study shows that the major reason, not the only reason, the major reason why Trump voters have gone with him is due to cultural anxiety, this fear of being replaced by the other. And if you don't believe me, folks, look at his cabinet. Speaking about shady mother effers, we have to talk about Pete Hegseth. Oh, yes, that Pete Hegseth, who Fox News host, that Pete Hegseth, who has numerous allegations of sexual abuse, cheating on his wife. Now there's allegations of financial misconduct. Now, apparently, about 10 of his fellow Fox insiders are worried about his drinking. And then you think, it's salacious. Oh, it's just rumors. Oh, they're trying to tank him. But then you remember, this dude wrote a book called American Crusade. And in his book, and in his own words, and on his chest, in his tattoos, he is an extremist. Here we go. Voting is a weapon, but it's not enough. We don't want to fight, but like our fellow Christians 1,000 years ago, we must. This guy's tattoos were so extreme that when he was in the National Guard, folks, a fellow soldier called him out for being an insider threat. In this book that we're quoting right now, American Crusade, and I want everyone to read the New York Times article that Danielle is showing right now about a crusader. He is for the crusade. He calls himself like one of these crusaders, modern day crusaders, Knights Templar. This is a guy who 9 years ago yelled out, "Kill all Muslims" in a bar. This is a dude whose own mother sends him an email that you want to live the rest of your life in a way that your mother never sends you this type of email. Oh, Danielle, read it out, Danielle.
So this is a piece of the email that Pete Hegseth's mother sent him back in 2018. She has since now apologized for sending the email and has regretted it. But this is what she wrote. And very clearly, on behalf of all women, and I know it's many, you have abused in some way. I say get some help and take an honest look at yourself. I have no respect for any man that belittles, lies, cheats, sleeps around, and uses women for his own power and ego. You are that man and have been for years. And as your mother, it pains me and embarrasses me to say that, but it is the sad, sad truth.
And now his mom is coming out and saying, no, my son is great. And the Fox people are saying, oh, no, he's a great guy. And Danielle, information came out that he had step down from veteran nonprofits due
Two
to
of them.
due to allegations of sexual misconduct, financial misconduct, and drinking too much.
I mean, the reality here is that it is funny to me, and you should question any religion where this man says that he is a devout Christian, has 7 children by multiple different women, has a police report where he is accused of sexual assault, has multiple infractions against him for reckless financial handling of 2 separate nonprofits that are supposed to help people that he drove into the ground and was fired from, and can't manage to go to work events without drinking the entire bar. And this is the man that Donald Trump wants to put as the Secretary of Defense, which has its own issues of rape and assault inside of the Pentagon and inside of the US military. And now you want to add a man, and also has like the largest budget on the planet. And you're going to put a man that bankrupted one place and had another one nearly shut down, clearly has an alcohol problem and abuses women, and his own mother said so. Right? Very clear. I don't care what she reneged after the fact, because it was very clear that she had been watching him for his entire life and felt the need and was compelled to say something. I mean,
and also, Danielle, I mean, we don't talk about this anymore because obviously it's all a shit show. What are his qualifications to be the Secretary of Defense? Anybody? Notice we even mentioned that, because qualifications don't matter. It's affirmative action for all mediocre white guys who are extreme racist, and the only qualification that matters to be in Donald Trump's cabinet is if you're a loyalist, if you're a creep, if you're a predator, or if you're a billionaire. And interestingly enough, he is such an egregiously terrible pick that even across the aisle, other conservatives, lifelong conservatives, even some terrible folks like David Frum, who in the past 10 years has done a lot of great anti-Trump stuff, but he was the architect, one of the architects of the war on terror. He's the person who coined axis of evil. But even that David Frum, right, who has a lot of blood on his hands, has come out and said, this man is terrible. And with the just the flood of allegations that come out, he came out on Morning Joe, and I'm glad you have this. He said, if you're too drunk for Fox News, you're very, very drunk indeed. Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Just given what one sees on camera, if you're too drunk for Fox News, you're very, very drunk indeed. So that's alarming. In 1989, President George H.W. Bush nominated John Tower, senator from Texas, for Secretary of Defense. Now, Tower was a very considerable person, a real defense intellectual, someone who deeply understood defense, unlike the current nominee. And it emerged that Tower had a drinking problem. And when he was drinking too much, he would make himself a nuisance or worse to the women around him. And for that reason, his nomination collapsed in 1989. You don't want to think that our moral standards have declined so much that you could say, let's take all the drinking, all the sex pesting, subtract any knowledge of defense, subtract any leadership, and there's your next Secretary of Defense for the 21st century.
I want to say something, too, about what David Frum said, because it stuck out to me, which was the sexual peskiness. This is not sexual peskiness, right? Like a fly that is buzzing around that you can't quite swat. This is being charged with, right? Or investigated for, I'll say investigated for alleged sexual assault. This is not, and like for even for David Frum, I will say, to say like, oh, because there were people that said, oh, well, he got a little handsy, right, with women. No. This is not handsy as in I'm putting my hands all over like the fruit that I'm getting ready to buy at the grocery store. anybody who is a gentleman, who is decent, you keep your goddamn hands to yourself. So this idea that somehow sexual harassment and assault is something that is pesky, that women must deal with, yeah, that was before we had laws and policies because of the sexual harassment that was just the norm for women in the workplace until the last 30, 40 years. Again, with this broligarchy, would love to roll back because from Pete Hegseth to Elon Musk and to others in Donald Trump's orbit, what they share in common is the theme of sexual assault and harassment of women.
And also, you know, the woman who alleges sexual abuse, she was paid off by Pete Hegseth. She signed an NDA. So if there's nothing to hide, he should release her from the NDA, and let's see what she has to say. So this is not just, like you said, a sexual harasser, allegedly a sexual abuser, multiple allegations of moral misconduct, has cheated on his wife several times, alcoholic, racist against Muslims, homophobic. And if you read the New York Times article, it talks about his, you know, growing religiosity. I want to put it in quotation marks, becoming more and more right-wing extreme. And these people are white Christian nationalists, right? They no longer believe in the democratic project. They want a Christian utopia where white Christians are at top. It's kind of a theocracy / democracy, and the rest of us are invited guests who kneel, and they will be our benevolent rulers. Now, you sit there and say, "Waj, that's crazy." Read their own rhetoric. I want to remind folks that Supreme Court Justice Alito's wife flew 2 flags at 2 separate properties that were related to the January 6th insurrectionists. One of them was an Appeal to Heaven flag. That is a white Christian nationalist flag. You just can't go to the mall in DC and find it. Like, you have to know where to find that and to get it. That is the wife of Supreme Court Justice Alito. Russell Vought, one of the architects of Project 2025, who now, of course, shockingly, is part of the Trump cabinet, is a white Christian nationalist. Project 2025 has white Christian nationalist statements all throughout the document. This is what they want, folks. I want to, like, you know, this is us ringing the alarm, right? This is who they are. We're spending time on this, not just to say, "Oh, look, another scandal." I want you to know the mindset of these people. Predators, sexual abusers, grab women by the pee. I'm in power. I can do what I want. Kill all Muslims. I'm a crusader. We have to save this country. It needs to be a Christian country. Look at what their thoughts about women. Look at what they did with Roe v. Wade. Listen to them when they tell you about going after contraception. Listen to them when they tell you about going after Obergefell and marriage equality. This is where we are.
This is where we are, and this is what people voted for, right? This is what Americans voted for. So this shock that is getting ready to take place as a collective, like, these are the people that Donald Trump wants in charge. And I just want to say, to your point earlier about qualifications, the goal is not to run these agencies, Waj. The goal is to gut them. So you actually don't need qualifications to do the job when your job is to destroy. And that's the thing that I want folks to understand. So we're not harping on whether or not these people are qualified, because they're not going in to actually do the job on behalf of the American people. They are going in to break things, right? To break them so that they are beyond repair, and then to take as much of our money as possible and leave Americans in one of the most desperate situations where we now turn on each other for the scraps that are left behind, right? So that, I mean, this is what this is the setup. And I will tell you, much like all empires fall, right? So do oligarchies and dictatorships. It's just a matter of time. And this one is in its nascent stage. But the reality is that you see what is happening. But I do want to go back to David Frum for a moment, Waj, because when David Frum said what he said with regard to being too drunk for Fox News, I want to now play for you all the response from Morning Joe, who we talked about a couple of weeks ago, with their desire to obey in advance, to run down to Mar-a-Lago,
which is what they did,
to open up the chain of communication, they said, with Donald Trump again, And because following that, their numbers have been tanking. But this is what they did following David Frum's comments, which to me, I called out the piece that needed to be called out, which was the peskiness of sexual assault. But here's what they said.
Break. A little bit earlier in this block, there was a comment made about Fox News in our coverage about Pete Hegseth and the growing number of allegations about his behavior over the years and possible addiction to alcohol or issues with alcohol. The comment was a little too flippant for this moment that we're in. We just want to make that comment as well. We want to make that clear. We have differences in coverage with Fox News, and that's a good debate that we should have often. But right now, I just want to say there's a lot of good people that work at Fox News who care about Pete Hegseth, and we'll want to leave it at that. Still ahead on Morning.
What moment are we in? What moment are we
in? And who are these good people that work at Fox News? When I saw this, Waj, I said, oh, so they're auditioning.
That's right. That's right. They're auditioning. And what? First of all, what moment are we in? Literally, listen to David Frum. I disagree with him on a lot of stuff. He was on point. We're in a moment where a convicted criminal, a person who was held liable for sexual assault, a fraudster, got reelected barely by plurality of votes and is now bringing in his broligarchy. And one of them is an unqualified man, a Fox News host, Pete Hegseth, where every day there is like one terrible, like it's like bad Mad Libs. You could just guess something terrible, and it's probably something that Pete Hegseth has said and done. And David Frum talked about it. And Fox is not a news network. Fox is a revolving door that has mainstreamed much of this hateful white supremacist content. It had Tucker Carlson. It had Megyn Kelly. It now has Pete Hegseth. It still employs Pete Hegseth. Why are they rallying around Pete Hegseth? How come Pete Hegseth is still an employee of Fox after all this has come out? And Joe and Mika, after performatively bending the knee, obeying in advance, spending their own money to go to Mar-a-Lago saying, we're going to change coverage because they are terrified of retribution. These are the same folks, Danielle, who are friends with Donald Trump. People forget, These are the same folks who used to consult and advise Donald Trump 9 years ago. They used to consult him and go to Mar-a-Lago as he was running for president the first time. And now all of a sudden, based on the moment, they have to apologize to Fox, and MSNBC allows them to do this. I rarely swear. I remember when I saw that, I did a tweet. All I said was this: shameful shit.
Yeah. Oh, but it gets better, folks, because not only are they apologizing to Fox News, not only are they berating their own guest, but now they're also berating their audience.
You know what? People are upset with some of our guests, some of our friends. Maybe we snuck up on them too fast. Maybe we should have given them more of a warning. Whatever, it's fine. But guess what? The main complaint was that we called Donald Trump's rhetoric fascist during the campaign. And then we went down to have an off-the-record comment with him. Guess who else does that?
Let me see. From the New York Times,
the New York
Washington
Times,
Post, the Wall Street. You know what? I even think folks from the Atlantic.
I think actually,
I think they might
probably
be doing that.
If they have a chance to talk on the background with the incoming president and president-elect, they would do it. In fact, as somebody wrote during this outrageously stupid, immature series of articles that lied time and time again about us, reporter said, well, I'd be fired if
and here, because everybody knows I do curse, the fucking audacity that they have, the audacity to berate their audience because people watch Morning Joe, because they believe what these people say. They trust their analysis. And they felt betrayed by them after saying that Donald Trump is a fascist, after saying that Donald Trump is dangerous. Then you turn around and you go to Mar-a-Lago only to cover your own ass and think that that somehow shows journalistic integrity. And then you name all of the outlets, aside from The Atlantic, honestly, who are responsible for Donald Trump being now the president-elect in the first place, because of the sane washing that they did not only over the last year of the campaign, but over the last 9 years.
That's right.
So Mika and Joe looked into the camera and said, well, they do it, so why can't we?
That's right.
And have the audacity to blame their audience for leaving them because you have lost not only their trust, but your integrity. So I like it. To me, it is just like we had to play that clip and we had to talk about them because this is indicative of why you all are here with us and while we're trying to grow independent media, because you deserve better than this bullshit.
That was a great rant, Danielle. You said everything I wanted to say, but it reminds me of this great scene from The Simpsons where Principal Skinner tries to find Bart Simpson, who's playing hooky. So he goes all around Springfield to find Bart Simpson. And he goes, what did I do when I was a child? Yes, I used to go to the paper factory. He goes to the paper factory. It's empty because kids aren't at the paper factory. And then he comes out and goes, could it be that I am out of touch? No, it is the children. It is the children who are wrong. It's just like one of my favorite scenes from The Simpsons. It just reminds me of the establishment, the wealthy, the white, the Morning Joes, the Mikas, incapable of self-reflection.
Yep.
Incapable of apologizing. Incapable of shame. And that is where we're at right now. In an era of shamelessness, where the leader of the country, the president of the United States of America, is an utterly shameless, venal vulgarian and is surrounding himself with fellow shameless vulgarians who care about nothing but their own appetites, their lusts, their greed, and themselves. People like Trump, people like Rudy Giuliani, people like Hegseth, people like Morning Joe and Mika. These people care about nothing about themselves, no integrity, no journalistic spine. They don't even care about, look, Danielle, if God forbid, you and I will never get a show like that, right? But if I had a show like that, you know what I would think about? My colleagues. I would think about my reputation. I would think about my network. I would think about my audience, the people who are watching, the 1,100 people who are watching right now. Thank you so much. Hey, these people have come along for the ride. I owe them an explanation. I owe them to be better. I have to look at myself in the mirror. I have to wake up every day. But when you have no shame, Danielle, maybe this is how you operate. It's a wonderful, no shame. It's like you're a sociopath. You don't have no emotion and no feelings. You could just do whatever you want, say whatever you want, get paid, sleep around, line up your pockets. And if America goes down the drain, who cares? Because I got another Tesla. Sorry for my rant.
I mean, but like we started the show with the murder of a CEO and the celebration that followed. And we arrived now at a point where mainstream corporate media is telling you that they have sold out and they're telling you that you're the problem, right? And all of this comes back to greed and gaslighting.
That's right.
Right? Like it is greed on the part of the Mikas and the Joes and the CEOs and the shareholders that will literally sell you out, whether you're a viewer, whether you are a customer or a patient, right? Because at the end of the day, what you want, what you need doesn't fucking matter. And so it's so deep, the situation, this dystopia that we are now living in. Right? Like this is where we are. This is who America is. And it is only going to get worse in the coming years because we've given the keys to the kingdom to the Broligarch, right? Yeah. And the white nationalists. And so, folks, I said this, I said this on the Danielle Moodie show right after the election, and I'll say it again. The only people that you can rely on is the community that you are building and investing in. You have got to do the work to take care of yourselves and those people around you that you love, because this government is not going to do that, right? And, if you have financial planners or your CPAs, or start having these conversations now, because how much money you have today is not going to be the same amount of money that you have a year from now. And a lot of people are going to be in a lot of pain.
That's
right? And it will not be, the pain will not be felt by the Mikas and Joes of the world. The pain will not be felt by the Viveks and the Elons of the world. They're the ones that are causing it. They have the money to ride it out, right? It is the rest of us who are literally, as is always said, one emergency away from bankruptcy.
That's right.
One, like we're all living on inshallah money. And now, right? And now this oligarchy is going to ensure that the food pantries that we saw during COVID, right, will now be the norm, right? With people lined up because they can't make their basic needs be met. And the fact is that they're setting up a situation where you will continue to be fired at will, right? Because they're giving all of the power to those CEOs and those shareholders and none to the people. And you'll just be grateful enough to have a job, right? So your treatment, whether you have health care, all of that will go out of the window because they are manufacturing scarcity.
Take care of each other, take care of your mental health, take care of your spiritual health, take care of your loved ones. And at the very least, just know that Danielle and I will hopefully never condescend to you, never gaslight you, never BS you, whether you like us or not, whether you agree with our opinion or not. At least we'll always be sincere, hopefully authentic, and honest. And as we build out this community, this is like the 7th show that we've done live. Thank you all for watching us. Like, it was supposed to be a 30-minute show, but we just, you all stick with us. So like our numbers keep going up and we have a lot to say. So thank you all for watching. If you're watching right now on YouTube, if you look underneath the video right now, you see Danielle's face. She's smiling. She's photogenic. Press subscribe to her channel. You'll get notifications. It helps the elves in the computer. To the right of it, you see a thumbs up or a thumbs down. The thumbs up is a like. If you click on it, it likes the video. It immediately helps the video, helps our channel, helps our show. And then if you go a little bit further to the right, you'll see this little box with ... And if you click that box with ... the second button is a heart. And underneath the heart, there's a $sign. And that's basically like a tip or a donation. And so those folks are sending us $2, $1, $9, $10, $15. As I've said before, it goes a long way because we've started this on inshallah money. We're completely independent. We put all the content for free. And essentially, whatever you all give us is what we get. So we appreciate it. You don't have to do it. Thank you all for watching. And as soon as we finish this, you can share this. And if you share this on Facebook, Blue Sky, Twitter, anywhere, the elves in the algorithm in the computer really like it and they work extra hard and promote it. But we appreciate it. Thank you all, Andres El Rey. Thank you all the folks who are watching us. Thank you, Joyce. And let us know in the comments. We read your comments. We try our best to engage with you. What would you like for us to talk about? If you want us to talk to someone, let us know. We're growing this out.
Here's an actual question, folks. So here before Terry, thank you so very much. Very generous. So here's the thing that Waj and I are toying with as we close out this year and we're getting ready to start a new year. And Lord knows we continue to say that we will do this for as long as it is safe and legal for us to do, but we're considering extending democracy-ish, potentially adding another day to democracy-ish so that you could potentially start and end your week with us. Is that something that would be of interest to you all? Would you watch another day of democracy-ish? And then I asked this, Waj, and then somebody just said, yes, we need a daily show.
We might die. Because look, Danielle hosts like 14 shows. She might die on air. She was like, and we must save.
Right, exactly. So folks are already saying yes, 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 more, please.
That's great.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Somebody here's the title of the show that they really want: Democracy-ish Daily. Okay, so we have heard from you and we appreciate that. And for those of you that are watching later after the fact, please do let us know, because again, building out this channel. Waj and I are committed to you all, to this audience, to growing independent media. And, we really do want to provide you with what you want to hear, and what you want to see. And, and you deserve better than the Mikas and Joes of the world. So we will continue doing Democracy-ish, and we have treats coming for you in the new year that we're excited about. So appreciate the quick feedback here and all the donations, folks. And I will say,
will shamelessly take all superficial comments about our looks. Thank you. You have
and Waj has an incredibly popular Substack that is free, that you all can go and subscribe to, The Left Hook, where he is pumping out content every single day and growing an extraordinary community. And we come here to bring these two worlds together. So spread your support around and do support Waj's Substack. Y'all, we appreciate each and every single one of you. Thank you for the support, for showing up. And we will be back, dear friends, next week, if in fact we have a country left. I'm Danielle Moodie.
And I'm Wajahat Ali.
And we're grateful for all of you. Inshallah, and see you next week.